See, one of the really cool things about the Neo is that you don't actually need a controller to use it. However, DJI do include a controller with the Flymore combo. So I'm keen to test it out and see how it performs. It's obviously going to have better range and better control if you use this controller. And it's going to be cool to see how it compares to something like the Mini 4 Pro. First flight with the controller. Hopefully it doesn't get taken out by any seagulls, but let's see what this drone can do. Okay, so my first thoughts are that it is pretty slow. However, it is so small, like what do you actually expect? But you know what, this actually looks pretty good. I'm going sideways, but there's no evidence of that in the shot. So I wonder if there's like a digital stabilization or something. Now, obviously this drone is just a one-axis gimbal, so it's not going to provide stability in the yaw and the roll direction. But for some reason, the footage looks like it's on a gimbal right now, so there's gotta be some digital stabilization going on in there. Okay, there you can definitely see a bit of the effect of not having a gimbal. So it's really not gonna be as stable as a Mini 4 Pro or a drone like that. Okay, let's try it in sport mode. Okay, so now I'm gonna pull back full speed. And it's doing a pretty good job, to be honest. And while I'm up there, I might as well take a photo. So we can only shoot in JPEG. Let's try and do a little pano. This is a JPEG straight from the camera, and it actually looks pretty good. If you zoom in, you will see that the quality isn't as good as what you get from a more expensive DJI drone. I manually shot this panorama and then stitched it together in Lightroom. I think it looks pretty awesome. And we're at about 50% battery now with, I think we've been flying for about 4 minutes. So that's not too bad because I've really been pushing this thing basically sport mode the entire time. Oh, that is really just so cool. I can't get over that hand catch. I wish all DJI drones could do that. The DJI Fly app with this drone works really well. So you can obviously view all your photos and videos and download them directly to your phone, or you can control the drone. So we've got all these different options here, and there's also the manual control option, which gives you virtual joysticks on screen for you to fly the drone. And then we've also got all the settings for the different parameters. So you can change all these settings in the app, and the next time you use that mode on the drone, it will remember these settings. And then we've also got custom camera settings. Currently the highest resolution is 4K 30, and you're stuck to normal color profile. Unfortunately, there's no way to manually adjust the sharpness for these modes in the app as of now. And if you want to format, you can click there and it'll format the internal storage. Oh If you ask any videographer or photographer, it's way more likely a matter of when it happened to them, not if it happened to them, in terms of a card or a drive failing. And that kind of scenario also really used to freak me out before I discovered Wondershare Recover It. I think it was about a year ago when one of my micro SD cards failed, and I tried 3 or 4 different types of software, and Wondershare Recover It was the only one that managed to rescue those files and get them off the corrupted SD card. So when they reached out to me, I was very happy for them to sponsor a video of mine. I'll show you how simple it is to use right now. You just plug in your formatted card, storage device you deleted files off, or a corrupted device, and it will pop up on the dashboard. Then you click scan, and the software automatically finds the deleted files, and then you can choose to recover them. It's honestly super simple and stress-free. And the new version of the software can now support external devices and NAS recovery with an improved success rate of 99.5%. If you use the link in the description below, you can try it out for free, and trust me, this is software you want installed when you run into this nightmare scenario. Back to the video. I've got this beach in Cape Town all to myself, so it's going to be perfect for testing the Neo with some tracking shots. And I've got my one wheel here, so we're going to try and keep up with me on the one wheel. wheel, and then I've also got some FPV equipment with the goggles and the controller, and I've also got the Avata 2 with me, so I'm going to put those head to head, see how they perform. But it is really windy out here today, so I don't know how it's going to affect it, but I really hope the Neo doesn't blow away. So with the Neo, how you select your mode without a controller is you push this little button on the front there, and it'll cycle between all the options you have. So for this one, I think I'm going to try Spotlight. And let's see how it goes. I am pretty nervous, so I hold that down. Oh wow, okay. It's fighting the wind, but it's holding. Okay, let's see how you do, my friend.
Acá ya dice.
Wow, it is really fighting the wind. I hope you can see that in the camera. But you know what? It's doing a good job. It's tracking me. That's actually pretty incredible, I'm not gonna lie. Look at that! Okay, let's see if it'll land. Okay, wow, that was genuinely impressive. I didn't think it would handle the wind that well. I'm gonna try follow now. I think it'll be fine downwind. It's more the upwind that I'm concerned with. And it's following me. I think I need to emphasize how windy it actually is, but genuinely this is pretty impressive. And I'm turning around, now we're gonna go downwind again. Let's pick up a bit of speed this time. It didn't lose me once that entire time. Time for a bit of FPV. First we're gonna go with the motion.
Spot unsafe sites. Before it's a problem, choose Chrome for built-in malware protection.
Let's settle this beef. Don't mess with my crew.
Pero, ¿por qué me hace eso?
Controller. Okay, so we're moving. We're fighting the wind quite light here. There we are. We've got some speed, Okay, this is pretty fun. Okay, now we're in sport mode, and oh, we've definitely got a bit more speed. Yeah, you're gonna want to be in sport mode if you're flying this thing with the motion controller. Okay, let's go downwind. Okay, downwind, yeah, we've got a bit of speed here. This is quite fun. The motion controller is fun, but if you want the full experience, you've got to use this controller. And this thing actually has a full manual mode, which I'm really surprised by. And what that means is you can control every way this thing is going to turn. So you can do flips, rolls, spins, anything. Oh wow, and now we are cruising. Let's rip this thing. I'm gonna go upwind so I can do a bit of a downwind flight here. Let's see how fast we can bring this thing. Wow, we are cruising.
¡Qué mogólico!
There's
Toca
a
hacer el
couple
último
flips.
ritual, boludo.
Took a bit of a tumble into the sand, but you know what?
Bueno, se ve que
I think it's perfectly fine, and we can take it up again. Interestingly enough, when you use the goggles, you get more control over your camera settings. So in here, I can change it from 16:9 to 4:3 aspect ratio. And I can also adjust the sharpness and noise level settings. So I'm gonna go now and adjust it to -2 for sharpness, which I prefer in general on these drones. And we're gonna fly in 4:3. And I know with 4:3, you have to manually stabilize the footage using GyroFlow. And when you're in 16:9, it's gonna apply EIS automatically. Normal mode. Now. Oh! Another tumble in the sand, but I think he's all fine. You can see from my testing that if you put the Neo through some manual maneuvers that are a bit too extreme, the motor would actually give up. And the one time I tried to do a flip while going at full speed and it just fell out of the sky. And the other time I was going at full speed and I tried to switch it into normal mode and then it also collapsed. So when you're pushing this drone to its limits, make sure you're above dry land. One really cool thing about this charging hub is if you've got it connected to a source which can provide up to 45 watts, you charge all 3 batteries at once. While the Neo batteries are charging, I'm going to take up the Avata 2. And as you can see, the Neo is a lot smaller than the Avata 2, but obviously this guy is going to give better performance and a better camera and all of that. Unfortunately, I don't have any filters for the Avata 2 yet, but I'm going to do the best I can to get some cinematic shots here. As you can see from the side-by-side comparisons, the Avata 2 is going to outperform the Neo in stability, resolution, frame rates, dynamic range, and detail. So basically in every category. But again, this isn't too surprising because the Avata 2 is much more expensive and much bigger and heavier than the Neo is.
Pero no, me faltan 2 rituales, boludo.
Beautiful lookout point at Aquila Game Reserve, and I'm going to take the Neo up and try some of the built-in modes. And what I've also done is I've got the DJI Mic 2 here, and apparently you can use the mic from your phone or an external mic, and it'll completely cancel out the noise of the drone. So I really want to see how well that works. So we're going to try the Helix mode first. Do its thing. Let's see what happens. So I'm obviously not doing anything right now.
¿Qué está pasando, culiao?
Just following us. That's actually a pretty cool shot.
No, pero subí más.
Pretty noisy right now, so let's see if the recording from the microphone cancels out that sound well. All in all, I think the DJI Neo is a really good addition to their lineup of drones. It delivers what it says it can do without being gimmicky, which is really important. I do have a couple gripes with the drone though, and the first being that I would really like to be able to adjust the digital sharpening in the normal video modes. Just because for me, right out of the box, the default is way too over sharpened and I just don't like that look so much. The second thing is this drone is going to be used primarily for social media, right? So it's really strange that there's no vertical shooting mode. And I think DJI even could have installed a natively vertical sensor on this drone and nobody would have complained. But at a bare minimum, I really hope in the future they do bring out an update which lets you use the full height of the sensor, and at least you've got a vertical shooting option to choose from. As an entry-level FPV drone, I don't think the Neo makes that much sense, because if you don't have them already, you would have to buy the goggles and the controllers separately, and that's going to end up costing way more than even the drone costs. But I do have a hunch that DJI might come out with a more budget-friendly goggle solution in the future, in which case this could become a really viable entry-level FPV drone. For years, I have had people coming to me saying, I want to buy a drone, this is my budget, and I have to tell them, sorry, your budget is just not high enough to buy a decent drone. But with the Neo, I think I can finally recommend something to them. So the standalone model retails for $200 US, and the Flymore combo with the controller and extra batteries retails for $350 US. I really hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please consider subscribing to see more like it in the future. And also don't forget to try out that free Wondershare Recover It trial, link in the description below. I promise you, if you ever run into that issue, this software is going to make you feel so much better and more relaxed.
exclusivos de Lego y más.
Este es el dispositivo más moderno y compacto fabricado por Apple, un dispositivo que fue tan criticado como si de la serie SE se tratase. Vendió tan pocas unidades, incluso por debajo del 12 mini. Todo esto causó que Apple decidiera descontinuar estos modelos, pero ¿acaso la gente y la crítica tenían razón? ¿Es cierto que la batería le dura 2 horas y que se sobrecalienta? Hoy veremos toda la verdad sobre este iPhone 13 mini y cuál fue la razón de su fracaso. Sabes que te estás perdiendo una gran oportunidad para activar Windows 10, ¿no? Porque este mes GBG Mall está de ofertas. Podrás encontrar licencias OEM para activar Windows, pero además si usas mi código tendrás un 25% de descuento, quedando así tu licencia de Windows 10 y actualizable a Windows 11 por tan solo $16. Luego en configuración de Windows podrás ingresar la clave que compraste y activar al fin ese Windows totalmente legal. Office no se salva de los super descuentos que trae GBG Mall, ya que usando de nuevo mi código se queda en tan solo $49. Muchas gracias a GBG Mall por patrocinar este video. En el año 2020 a los ingenieros de Apple les pareció buena idea diseñar un iPhone que tenga exactamente las mismas propiedades de los iPhones normales, pero en un cuerpo mucho más compacto. Y si nos ponemos a pensar, no es una mala idea. Hay gente que prefiere un celular compacto, potente y con una muy buena cámara, en vez de un megalodón que tengas que vigilar que no se te termine cayendo del bolsillo. Pero en este caso la mayoría gana, y prácticamente los que compraban estos celulares de apenas 5.4 pulgadas eran los asiáticos. Ya saben que a ellos les gusta que todo lo tengan pequeño. Por más que Apple se dio cuenta de que el iPhone 12 mini no tuvo las ventas esperadas, decidió darle la última oportunidad. Y ahí es donde sale esta obra de arte, el iPhone 13 mini. Si entraste a este video es porque seguro estás pensando en comprarte este celular. Pero ¿por qué lo estás pensando? Claro, por la sencilla razón de que este dispositivo bajó de precio drásticamente en los últimos tiempos, algo que no es común ver en celulares de la manzana, pero basándonos en el precio que se le puede encontrar hoy en día es que lo juzgaremos, porque ya de una vez te digo que ni de chiste recomendaría este celular por el precio que salió al mercado en su día. Seguro tu más grande duda acerca de este dispositivo es la batería, pero de eso hablaremos más adelante, ya que te tengo una muy buena noticia y otra mala en este apartado. El cuerpo de este dispositivo es como Apple ya nos tiene acostumbrados, un acabado premium que combina aluminio mate con un acabado glass brilloso, pero que probablemente en una caída se raje todo, aunque es debatible porque como este celular es peso pluma, llegando a tan solo 141 gramos, probablemente se salve. Su peso y su tamaño es sencillamente exquisito porque se puede usar el celular con tan solo una mano, un uso que hoy en día es totalmente fluido, ya sea si hablamos de navegar en las distintas redes sociales como otras aplicaciones que tengamos. Vamos, que tiene el chip A15 Bionic, así que el rendimiento es bestial, hasta incluso en juegos más exigentes de la App Store. Si estás pensando en comprar este celular para gaming, déjame decirte algo muy importante. Si a ti no te importa la limitación del tamaño de la pantalla para jugar, vas a estar todo perfecto. Si te preocupa que se sobrecaliente, déjame decirte que en gaming levanta las mismas temperaturas que un iPhone 13 Pro. No es que este iPhone 13 mini se caliente más que sus hermanos de la misma línea. Como Como ya es costumbre, Apple como mínimo dará soporte de actualizaciones para este dispositivo hasta 2027. Así que lo más probable es que se te hinche la batería por usar un cargador de $5 a que se te acabe el soporte del sistema. Me asombra que la pantalla conserve exactamente los mismos atributos que la pantalla del iPhone 13 Pro, excepto por los 120 Hz, claro. Una calidad de colores muy buena, junto a la tan alta densidad de píxeles en la pantalla, dan una experiencia muy satisfactoria en multimedia. Además, la pantalla llega a un máximo de 1200 nits de brillo, así que podrás verlo en plena luz del sol como si de un iPhone 13 Pro se tratase. Un dato muy importante es que el notch ocupa el mismo espacio en todos los iPhone 13, por ende el aprovechamiento de la pantalla será menos en el iPhone 13 mini. Antes de pasar a hablar de las cámaras, déjame decirte que te puedes suscribir y activar la campanita si este contenido es de tu agrado. Y bueno, también si te apasiona el mundo de la tecnología, eres bienvenido. Ahora sí, pasemos a hablar de probablemente una de las características por cual tengas flechado a este dispositivo: las cámaras. Cuenta con exactamente las mismas cámaras que el iPhone 13 normal. Sí, ese mismo pack de cámaras en diagonal que alberga un sensor muy considerable en cuanto al tamaño, y en el caso del iPhone 13 mini hace limitar el espacio para otros componentes. Pero este es un acierto total. Las cámaras de este dispositivo son sencillamente espectaculares, tanto así que prácticamente no echo de menos mi iPhone 13 Pro. Tendrás todas las funciones de grabación, hasta incluso el modo cine. La calidad de grabación y estabilización del video también es muy buena, y lo único que se nota, por ejemplo, la diferencia frente a la cámara del iPhone 13 Pro es el ultra gran angular. La lente del 13 mini recoge menos luz y por lo tanto en las noches tendrás menos desempeño. También perdemos la opción de tomar fotos macro, ya que este lente más amplio es de enfoque fijo. El punto más polémico y más criticado es el de la batería, porque claro, en un dispositivo que es muy pequeño es imposible meter una batería de muchos miliamperios. Este iPhone 13 mini en específico cuenta con 2438 miliamperios hora. Si bien cualquiera podría decir que estos números dan risa, hay que considerar que la optimización y eficiencia que tienen Apple en sus dispositivos son muy respetables, y no es lo mismo comparar 3000 miliamperios en un Android que en un iPhone, que seguro le saque más tiempo en pantalla el dispositivo de la manzana. Por lo mismo que el sistema está muy bien integrado con las instrucciones del procesador. Pero bueno, lo que te dije se traduce a que en el día a día te puede dar entre unas 5 o 6 horas de pantalla con un uso normal. Yo sinceramente, por los comentarios que leí en internet, me esperaba mucho menos, pero me doy con la sorpresa de que tan solo dura 1 hora menos de pantalla a comparación con mi iPhone 13 Pro. Para mucha gente le pareció muy poco el rendimiento de esta batería, y en parte si estás todo el día con el celular lo es, pero si eres una persona que para más ocupada, llegarás a las justas al final del día. Igual, si te molesta tanto este apartado, no olvides que puedes comprar una batería MagSafe, pero bueno, esto hace que el dispositivo sea menos portátil y perder así toda su filosofía. Sin duda la batería es uno de sus puntos más débiles, porque por lo demás la calidad del micrófono, la recepción del Wi-Fi, hasta incluso las bocinas suenan muy bien. La verdad vale la pena por $350 que se la puede encontrar actualmente. Coméntame si en tu país está más caro o más o menos el mismo precio. Los estaré leyendo y nos veremos en un próximo video.
La vida va rápido, nosotros también. Envía dinero rápidamente con Remitly. Baja la app hoy mismo.
Concéntrate, Floyd. Vamos. De todas las cosas que podrían aparecer, me encuentro un puto tope. Hago cosas peores que tú. ¿Cuánto tiempo vamos a ganar con eso? Yo creo que unos 30 segundos.
There's an undeniable sincerity that emanates from Jimmy Fallon. He's not just a talk show host, he's a friend you've known for years, inviting you into his world with open arms. Since his late night debut in 2009, Jimmy has almost unanimously been loved by fans and celebrities, but not anymore. The people closest to Jimmy, the ones he relies on the most, have come forward to reveal that his actual character behind the scenes is the total opposite of lovable and genuine. Erratic behavior, outbursts, intimidation, avoid eye contact. Nobody told Jimmy no. These quotes don't sound like the unapologetically joyful Tonight Show host we know, but these revelations might not be shocking to some. As many people have speculated, Jimmy's nice guy persona is entirely fake. More specifically, his fake laugh.
You can't. Jimmy.
Jimmy will laugh at just about everything, to the point where he sounds like a programmed laugh track being controlled by a producer backstage.
If you think about embarrassment, scale of 1 to 10.
Okay.
1 is just like being a person walking down the street. And 10 is, for me, co-hosting the Oscars with James Franco.
Without letting Ann mention why this was embarrassing, Jimmy just bursts out into laughter when there was nothing funny about what she said.
And then he tries to connect my right foot to my left arm, and he's trying to connect them like this, and I'm in such pain. I go like that, and his belly goes in my mouth.
Even Ryan Gosling looked at Jimmy confused as to why he was laughing so hard. They both play it off awkwardly because they quickly realize this is harmless and it only makes them look better or funnier. There's no point in calling him out, but Taylor Swift wasn't having it.
The VMAs are coming up August 24th, and they're saying, I heard that Taylor Swift will be performing. Can you confirm or deny?
I mean, we've had a really good time today.
Taylor? Taylor?
See where I'm going with this at least. Nobody ever listens to me.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
So what I was saying is
Why are you looking at me?
because I'm trying to think of what to say next.
If he isn't interrupting them with laughter, he is interrupting them with other pointless talking. Taylor Swift's frustration was a little more obvious than David Spade's.
Carson wasn't even the first one, but I squeaked on.
You just stand up.
When I did, I'll tell the story. When
David just gave him a little jab, and Jimmy knew he was wrong for interrupting the comedian, so he tried to make Dave look like the bad guy and walk off. This wasn't the first time Jimmy walked off set to avoid an awkward situation that he caused.
No, it's about how you can beat a human being down.
Don't tell anyone. It's okay. Let them
Just see the movie.
or not.
Or not. You know what the movie's about, kind of, right? Yeah, so you don't need me. You don't need me.
No, do it.
No, you don't need me. No one needs me. It's fine.
Okay.
Let's go.
No, come back. Come on, man.
This is a safe way to play off his awkward interruptions because no host would ever walk off their own show for a tiny error. Often it seems like Jimmy has nothing substantial to add to the conversation but feels the need to interrupt or explode with laughter. The internet has memed Jimmy's antics into oblivion. While some say he has a huge ego and wants more spotlight for himself, it seems like he does this to maintain control. He fears dead air, a boring story, or an unfunny joke, so he jabs his way into the conversations with quick jokes or laughs in an attempt to make sure the audience is engaged, but then it ends up doing the opposite. I mean, every time a guest is talking, he leans in, stares at them intensely, maybe reaches his arm out, and is waiting for a split second to interrupt to make sure you are entertained. The other thing that agitates people is how he showers every single guest with compliments. You're my favorite, we love you, it's my favorite movie, my favorite album, as if celebrities need any more ego stroking. Jimmy's defenders think all this controversy is ridiculous. Should he not laugh? Just sit there and be awkward? His show is supposed to be fun. He just wants his guests to be relaxed and confident in front of a live audience. This can definitely explain his overreactions to guests winning his minigames.
Sounds like a poodle.
Yeah.
A labradoodle.
Now, it seems ridiculous to nitpick this from Jimmy because fake reactions have been a crucial part of TV and YouTube forever. David Dobrik, KSI, and Joe Rogan have been large contributors to the fake laughter, fake reaction epidemic.
Okay. And if you think there is, it's very like.
I know everything. I do agree with a lot of what he says.
Jimmy is a people pleaser and just wants to make everyone comfortable, bless his heart. That laugh does the opposite to me. It feels like he's hiding something. And Jimmy may be hiding something, a lifetime of alcoholism. And the reason he began drinking may shock you. But first, a word from our sponsor, Underdog Fantasy. Underdog Fantasy is the easiest place to play fantasy sports. Get in on the NFL action with their pick'em game. All you have to do is pick whether your player will have a higher or lower stat total for Week 7 of the NFL season to win big. Pick between 2 and 5 players to build a pick'em entry. Underdog is available in 30 plus states and Canada, including California, Texas, and Florida. Here are my picks for NFL Week 7. I got Joshua Palmer going lower than 54.5 receiving yards. I got Dak Prescott going lower than 1.5 passing touchdowns. And I got Justin Herbert going lower than 281.5 passing yards. I'll throw $200 at it, which gives me a max total payout of $1,200. Sign up on UnderdogFantasy.com or via the App Store with promo code PatrickCC. You can also use the link down in the description or scan the QR code, and Underdog will double your first deposit up to $500. That's Underdog Fantasy, promo code PatrickCC. Underdog is giving you a special free pick for Week 7 of the NFL season. All Dak Prescott has to do is have 1 yard to win. This is the easiest way to make money on Underdog, so sign up with code PatrickCC today to take advantage and win some money. As a teenager, Jimmy was obsessed with Saturday Night Live. The program had been running for nearly 2 decades, and Jimmy was fully immersed, insisting on watching the program alone in pure silence because he hated unnecessary commentary. from others. Although he could only see the clean parts his parents taped for him, Jimmy didn't miss a single sketch or punchline and remained devoted to learning as much as possible. Ironically, his parents didn't want him watching adult humor sketches, but they would let him drink alcohol while watching. As long as I wasn't doing anything at night, I'd just sit by myself and I would have a 6-pack of Pabst. I don't know if I made it all the way through the 6, but I'd just sit there and watch the show and tape it. He and his sister Gloria reenacted sketches with friends before Jimmy discovered a talent for impressions, often impersonating actor James Cagney and comedian Dana Carvey. I was one of those kids who, if I hung around another kid for an hour, I was that kid. Fallon said, it was weird. I'd come home and I'd do his type of humor, his type of mannerisms, and my mom would say, okay, Joey, you want dinner now? Because I'd be acting like Joey Gonzalez. From a young age, Jimmy was an imitator, instinctively copying and mimicking things that he thought were funny instead of having the drive to produce his own material, which was an early sign of being the perfect late-night television host. Through hours of meticulously studying various comedy and musical routines, Fallon continued working on his craft and established himself as a performer at Saugerties High School, appearing in most stage productions. It was a rush. I think it was the rush of getting a reaction. Maybe it's acceptance. Maybe it's a thing where you're pleasing somebody. I want to be friends with everybody. And if you make a joke and everyone laughs, you're like, that's it, I scored. That's what I thought making a friend was. You just feel like people liked you. So maybe it was that, acceptance. It seems like Jimmy's people-pleaser mentality has been in full effect since his youth. His obsession with Saturday Night Live carried on throughout his time at St. Rose College in New York, skipping parties and events so that he could watch SNL as it aired. Fallon lived for the weekends when he would regularly board buses from his aunt's house in Fort Hamilton to perform stand-up comedy sets at Caroline's on Broadway and Times Square. On stage is where Jimmy felt most at home, and his urge to make audiences laugh couldn't be ignored as he dropped out of college in 1995 to move to Los Angeles, California to pursue comedy full-time. He secured a manager who got him very minor roles in comedy films like Father's Day and television sitcoms like Spin City. But it didn't matter because his dream wasn't to become an actor. Jimmy remained fixated on joining Saturday Night Live. After 2 years of working on his sketch comedy and improv skills with the Groundlings, he took a leap of faith and auditioned for SNL, but bombed. This career setback could have killed his dreams as a comedian altogether, but his obsession with SNL wouldn't let him give up. When he landed a small role on a Warner Brothers sitcom, Fallon negotiated a clause in his contract that would release him if he got on SNL. The producers agreed only because they thought it would never happen. This was my ultimate goal. If I ever cut into a birthday cake and made a wish, I would wish to be on SNL. If I threw a coin into a fountain, I would wish to be on SNL. If I saw a shooting star, I would wish to be on SNL. It's crazy. I had no other plan. I didn't have friends. I didn't have a girlfriend. I didn't have anything going on. I had my career. That was it. SNL is notorious for its difficult audition stage. The series creator, Lorne Michaels, almost never laughed during auditions, and it would take a special talent to grab his attention. Fallon recalls 3 different people warning him about Lorne's lack of laughter, but he learned a lot from his first catastrophic performance. In his second audition, he would come prepared with nothing but himself and his impressions, something that he perfected over time. Jimmy marched on that stage, performing a celebrity walkathon with impressions of Jerry Seinfeld, Chris Rock, Bill Cosby, and Adam Sandler. To his surprise, Michaels and other executives could not stop laughing. I was in the room that day, says former SNL writer Tina Fey. He's one of 2 people I've ever seen who was completely ready to be on the show. Kristen Wiig is the other one. And Jimmy was ready like if there had been a show to do that night. Lorne Michaels informed Jimmy that his dreams were now a reality. He was going to be a cast member of Saturday Night Live. All Jimmy could do was look at Michaels and tell him, I'm going to make you proud. He debuted beside the cast of SNL as a featured player during its 24th season in September 1998. Fallon established himself as a household name overnight, becoming known for his spot-on impressions of various celebrities and public figures. While he was living out his dream, Jimmy was also developing a scary addiction that would come back to haunt him decades later. During their time at SNL, Fallon and cast member Horatio Sanz often drank together. Sanz has described himself and Fallon as super-functioning alcoholics and stated that kind of goes hand in hand with SNL. Some kind of substance abuse issues because it's so stressful you could easily find yourself blowing off steam a lot. Sanz recounted how he and Fallon got in a couple of brawls. I've seen Jimmy clock a few people, he said. Jimmy could fight. I don't know where he learned, but he definitely scrapped with the best of them. Jimmy working in a high-stress environment and abusing his health to cope is potential foreshadowing for the work environment he would create on his own show. He always planned to leave Saturday Night Live after 3 seasons. However, Lorne Michaels offered him a role on Weekend Update with Tina Fey, which is essentially the comedic news section that SNL covers every week. Unfortunately, Jimmy also developed a negative reputation on SNL as somebody who can't hold in his laughter. At first, it was an innocent mistake that began in the famous More Cowbell sketch, when Will Ferrell wore a tight shirt that caused Fallon to break character. Every cast member was laughing during this skit because, well, it was hilarious. But that moment opened a revolving door of cast members intentionally trying to get Jimmy to break character, and he did break character. A lot. Interrupting the punchlines and comedic timing by laughing and giggling. While some thought it was hilarious, others found it insensitive and believed he was attempting to steal their spotlight and make the sketches about himself. Lorne didn't like it, the writers didn't like it. I'm not trying to do it on purpose. I'm trying not to do it, but sometimes it just got insane. I couldn't hold it in. It was just so much fun. SNL has always tried to maintain the best of the best when it comes to comedic talent. Comedians laughing at their own jokes can sometimes be seen as unprofessional. In 2004, Jimmy decided to leave SNL and move into traditional acting. He signed a 2-movie deal with 20th Century Fox with the hopes of becoming a prominent star in the industry. The first was a lead role in the 2004 action comedy Taxi alongside then rapper turned actor Queen Latifah. The other was the 2005 romantic comedy Fever Pitch alongside Drew Barrymore. Both films received mixed reviews and had decent box office performance, but were not the first impression Jimmy Fallon wanted. With back-to-back disappointments, film offers rapidly decreased as studio executives grew hesitant to feature Fallon in future projects. He experienced what he has deemed a lost period, characterized by a larger than usual alcohol consumption and uncertainty about his future career choices. I was probably drinking more than I should have been drinking, he confessed. It wasn't like sitting and watching old tapes of me on SNL with the screen flickering in front of me. I was like, I can't figure out what I want to do. Fortunately for Fallon, the man who gave him his dream job at SNL was about to save him once again, as the host of Late Night had an opening in 2009 after Conan O'Brien was transitioning to The Tonight Show. But Jimmy didn't make the best first impression. Many quickly realized that Jimmy wasn't edgy or dark enough for late night comedy. GQ claimed Jimmy was too cute for late night audiences used to hanging out with the snarky cool crowd, suggesting he was too corny. Yeah, the cool crowd was always beyond my grasp, he admitted. Late Night with Jimmy Fallon premiered on NBC in early March 2009. The series immediately outperformed CBS's The Late Late Show with Craig Ferguson by 500,000 viewers. Fallon also garnered more viewers than his predecessor, Conan O'Brien. Late Night with Jimmy Fallon was one of the first late night talk shows to embrace social media and use it as an integral part of the show's engagement with its audience. Jimmy was able to connect with the youth who weren't watching TV at midnight in 2012 by regular uploads to YouTube, particularly comedic sketches and challenges with their favorite celebrities.
I got these tickets to the One Direction concert.
I love One Direction. Do you have an extra ticket?
Many of these videos amassed millions of views, but it was nothing compared to the dominance he would have on The Tonight Show. In early 2014, Jimmy Fallon transitioned to NBC's The Tonight Show, where he had big shoes to fill. From Steve Allen to Jack Parr to the iconic Johnny Carson, who stamped the show's legacy for 30 years, then Jay Leno and Conan O'Brien, it was now Jimmy's job to lead the most popular late night show of all time. He debuted to a staggering 11.3 million viewers, and despite all the alleged fake laughing, overreactions, interruptions, and being too corny, he dominated late night television. The show averaged 3 to 4 million live concurrent viewers throughout the years, but also embraced social media with their YouTube channel that has amassed 30 million subscribers, with multiple videos in the hundreds of millions of views. A lot of Jimmy's segments mimic the format of YouTube challenges. Many of you have never even watched Late Night, but have seen tons of The Tonight Show's YouTube segments, such as Lip Sync Battle, Musical Impressions, and Egg Russian Roulette, where he and his guests would engage in playful competitions resulting in funny and often viral moments. His comedic sketches and style often mimicked SNL because of his obsession and Lorne Michaels' production. Jimmy is like the personification of a golden retriever, and America loved him. And although the late night host is a high profile and often rewarding role, the pressure can be severe. Late night hosts are expected to be funny and entertaining every night. The constant pressure to deliver humor can be mentally and emotionally taxing. Late night hosts must stay up to date with current events and pop culture trends to keep their material relevant, which requires continuous research and adaptability. The aspect of balancing multiple roles can also be demanding, as late night hosts are not just comedians, they are also producers, writers, and often performers in various sketches and segments. Coming up with fresh and original content night after night can be creatively exhausting, as hosts must continually innovate to keep their shows interesting. Meanwhile, late night shows are often live or recorded in front of a live audience. This leaves little room for mistakes, and hosts must be prepared to handle unexpected situations. Therefore, late night hosts are very much reliant on their staff to help with research, writing jokes and sketches, making sure there are as little errors as possible. These writers and employees are Jimmy's lifeline. There is no show without them, and he made a crucial error on May 1st, 2023.
I wouldn't have a show if it wasn't for my writers, and I support them all the way. They gotta have a fair contract, and they got a lot of stuff to iron out, and hopefully they get it done.
If there is a strike, do you go dark?
If there's a strike, yeah, I think we will. Yeah, I think we'll go dark. Whatever I can do to support the guild. I am actually in the Writers Guild as well, so yeah, I couldn't do the show without them, and I support my whole staff.
Although Jimmy says he will support his writers no matter what, his staff says otherwise. As one of his employees took to Twitter to write, he wasn't even at the meeting this morning to tell us we won't get paid after this week. Jimmy Fallon, please support your staff. Had fun bowling with you last week, but a party won't pay my rent. I'm sure many of you have heard about the 5-month-long writers' strike in Hollywood that just ended, and the reason for the strike is quite simple. The Writers Guild of America is the joint efforts of 2 different American labor unions representing thousands of writers in film, television, radio, and online media. Writers are the backbone of Jimmy Fallon and all of Hollywood's content. Without them, there are no jokes, no scripts, no stories, nothing. Yet somehow, they are the least compensated, with most of them earning below the poverty line in salary. Writers make a bulk of their earnings through residuals, which is a percentage that gets paid out to them every time a movie or show is streamed or syndicated in the future. But Hollywood executives restructured the industry during the streaming era, so these writers get basically nothing after the content is uploaded. And the studios are profiting tens of billions, while the people who are actually creating the ideas from scratch are on food stamps. So Jimmy saying he supports his staff no matter what, but not increasing their salaries to a livable wage, had them pretty pissed off, which led to a Rolling Stone article that contacted over 50 Tonight Show employees revealing what Jimmy is really like behind the scenes. Although many praised Fallon for his immense talent and comedic gifts, nobody spoke on record or had positive things to say about working on The Tonight Show. Interestingly enough, 3 employees who originally worked on late night claim a dramatic and ugly shift in working environment occurred once they transitioned to The Tonight Show. People that worked under them felt this pressure that if you made one mistake, you were gone and would be easily replaced. From 2014 to 2022, there were 9 different showrunners. This constant change in leadership gradually created a chaotic atmosphere among staffers who expressed their loss in faith in senior leadership. Nobody told Jimmy no. Everybody walked on eggshells, especially showrunners. Another former employee says, "You never know what Jimmy you were going to get and when he was going to throw a hissy fit." They described Jimmy's temperament, mood, and treatment of staffers as erratic. They suggested Jimmy Fallon was unpredictable, having witnessed him snap at crew members over the smallest things. They also claimed Fallon occasionally berated and belittled staffers out of frustration. 3 former employees said that he berated them in front of other colleagues and crew members. It was like, if Jimmy's in a bad mood, everyone's day is fucked. When something was wrong, we all knew how to behave afterwards, which was just sort of avoid eye contact and don't make another mistake.
At Domino's, now you can carry out a 1-topping pizza with any of our 5 crust types for only $7.99. And you can order any way you want to, online or by phone. So choose hand-tossed, crunchy thin crust, gluten-free, New York style, or handmade pan. And your favorite topping for just $7.99 from Domino's.
The article then dives into Jimmy's SNL skit in 2000 where he did an impression of Chris Rock while doing blackface. Jimmy apologized for this skit that resurfaced in 2020, and the article followed up this information with an employee alleging that the staff tried to sweep this controversy under the rug. A black employee claims that showrunner Granite Benderman kept asking them, "What is going on with your hair?" trying to paint the picture of a racist environment behind the scenes at The Tonight Show. Employees claim that they experienced deteriorating health effects due to the environment, hair thinning, extreme weight loss. Mentally, I was in the lowest place of my life. I didn't want to live anymore. One longtime employee says they never reported their issues to HR because early on in their tenure at the show, they saw colleagues of theirs attempt to speak to human resources representatives and subsequently got fired from the show. They don't protect us, the former staffer says. They don't do anything for us. Many of you watching have probably worked in a toxic environment and have experienced similar ramifications as these employees alleged, so you can easily see this being a reality for Jimmy's show. Others speculated that this is nothing more than a hit piece. Many think that Jimmy's short temper, erratic behavior, and need for nothing less than perfection is standard for someone putting on a show for millions and millions of people. They think most of the worst allegations are against the showrunners, and Jimmy has to take the blame since he is the boss. Most people wonder why someone wouldn't just get a new job if it was so bad. Then again, Jimmy did come from SNL, which was one of the most high-stress work environments that led to multiple employees suffering from substance abuse issues. So it's not that hard to believe that he could have created a similar environment thinking it's just show business. However, after Rolling Stone published the article, Fallon apologized to staff members in a Zoom call. It's embarrassing, and I feel so bad, Fallon said, according to two people who were on the call. Sorry if I embarrassed you and your family and friends. I feel so bad, I can't even tell you. We don't have the full apology, so we don't know if Jimmy is accepting blame for all of these allegations, for just a few, or if he is just following the command of his PR team to avoid the same outcome as Ellen. Every public figure at some point has to simplify their entire brand and public perception to a few personality traits. Ellen DeGeneres, for most of her career, could be described as friendly, funny, and altruistic. She infamously branded two very simple words as her mantra to live by: be kind.
When I say be kind to one another, I mean be kind to everyone. Just be kind. But the act of being kind also has great benefits. Try to do something kind this week.
But we learned that Ellen made some exceptions to her always be kind rule. Be kind, unless it's her employees who accuse Ellen show producers of mentally abusing and sexually assaulting them. Be kind, unless there's a funny opportunity to humiliate a fan on live television. Be kind, unless she can force a pregnant woman to drink alcohol on television. Be kind, well, because she has to when big brands are donating millions of dollars to her charitable causes. For 40 years, Ellen had the world convinced she was this lovable, genuine figure. She even won the Presidential Medal of Freedom. But as time went on, the cracks in the facade began to slowly emerge, and the world finally saw her reality behind the mask. The empire she built in 4 decades came crashing down in less than a year, and to this day, she believes that she is the victim.
Oh yeah, I got kicked out of show business.
Today we are going to deep dive into the disastrous downfall of Ellen DeGeneres and analyze the warning signs we missed along the way. Ellen had no idea what she wanted to do with her life at the age of 23. She worked various odd jobs out of necessity. She painted houses, worked in factories, worked as a bartender, and even sold vacuum cleaners, but could not find any purpose for her life. That is, until she discovered stand-up comedy.
Have you always wanted to do comedy?
No, I really didn't. Until I got on stage, until I was talked into it, because I didn't want to, do it until some friends said, we're having a benefit, we need to raise some money, and I don't even know what the benefit was for. It was like, I think somebody needed a new pair of jeans or something at the time. And I went on stage, and I don't even know what I did, but it was funny at the time. I loved it. It was just the greatest feeling, and it just fell in my lap. Everything just kept happening, and so.
Most people who pursue an art form typically have a deep passion for it. Some comedians even see it as survival. They struggle to cope with the stresses and complexities of real life, and comedy is a necessary escape. Ellen lacked passion and was decently funny. This seemed like a pretty good job that was working, so why not keep pursuing it? Ironically, this type of mentality is perfect for someone to move up in the ranks in any industry. When you are not deeply or personally attached to your work or art, you are willing to make the necessary sacrifices for growth. In the perspective of a comedian, some may deny a movie or TV role because it's too corny, too unfunny, or just generally a bad look regardless of the opportunities it will bring and the revenue they will generate from it. Ellen was not that type of person. If there was an opportunity, she was going to take it. In the 1980s, she started performing stand-up comedy in New Orleans and gained a huge boost in popularity when she won Showtime's Funniest Person in America contest in 1982. This national visibility led to her doing stand-up shows around the country. In the 80s, doing a set on Late Night with Johnny Carson or David Letterman was a rite of passage for comedians. It was seen as a major milestone that often led to a professional career in comedy. In 1986, Ellen got her opportunity.
That whole fitness thing